I will just present about public procurement system, just to give you a small background information. And secondly, I want to give you, I will show you what kind of decisions made lately by government in terms of CSO participation. And from then, my colleague will take on and tell us how CSOs are working in Mongolia. So our first public procurement law was passed in 2000, and there was a major amendments made twice, in 2005 and last year, June 2011. We have one general law which covers all public entities, including state-owned enterprises. So there will be no problem of just reading one Mongolian law and you can find out about every public procurement activities. Ministry of Finance is in charge of public procurement policy, and around 95% of all public bidding goes through the open bidding. And there are some clauses which allow you to have either direct contracting or limited bidding, but it's very, very difficult to use that clause. It's very difficult to get that. Yeah. That we are planning to input somewhere here, CSO, and work until the contract. And another part is we want to include some CSOs here, where they will help us to evaluate contract performance of the public projects. There are complaint mechanisms, and there are 3 tiers of how to complain. First, you have to apply to procuring entity. If you are not satisfied, you can complain to Authority for Fair Competition and Consumer Protection. And after that, if you are still not satisfied, you can go to court. I just briefly want to touch on our future plan, that we want to start e-procurement process, which will, I hope, help us to make public procurement more transparent. So this March, we are planning to conduct the first e-bidding and consequently to launch the e-shopping mall for the public entities in Mongolia. Last year on June, the parliament approved the new law, and the new law will take effect from this October. And there are some changes in the law which involves the CSO participation. So by law now, it's mandatory to include the CSO, private sector, and citizen in the evaluation committee. So in some areas, it will be more than 3 people to be included in the evaluation committee. Second is that by law now, government have to hire CSOs in to monitor some contract implementation. It won't be all contracts. Government will choose some important projects, and the CSOs can provide their comments on how the contract is implemented, and they will be paid for that. So challenges with this new law. And CSO participation is very new thing. Actually, I'm a government bureaucrat. I don't know much about CSO, and I don't like to be monitored by CSOs too. Well, anyway, the first challenge is that because it's mandatory, we need many, many people to sit in the evaluation committee. So capacity means the numbers. Do we have enough CSO people who can sit and work on evaluation committees? Second, the rules in guidelines are not clear yet. We have to approve it before October, but there are a lot of questions like how and who chooses which CSO will participate in which bidding. It will be, whether it will be a government or it will be a CSOs themselves will decide who will have to sit in what kind of bidding. Second question is what kind of rights and responsibilities will CSO members have? The last is how to report, whether you go to TV station and talk on TV or you write something to someone. And the last part is the lack of knowledge and experience among CSO members about the public procurement issues. So the last part will be a challenge to train many, many people and continuously. So another problem, I have to set up these networks in Mongolia, in countrywide, in local areas, in the central city. And the last part will be how to finance these activities. Who should finance it? Should government pay for that or not? Because I don't think there will be other resources for this. Government have to pay somehow, but I don't know how to pay. There will be another question. If government pays, they will be quiet because they paid. So we have to find a way how to make sure that they will not be quiet. Okay, and please welcome my colleague.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I just would like to explain about civil society engagement in the procurement process in Mongolia. But following the successful launch of Open Door 2009, the procurement subnetwork in Mongolia is established. It has the 16 civil society organizations, and also we subnetwork also we formulated our objective and shared vision. And for the last 2.5 years or so, we have focused on three main issues. The first is we trained local civil society organizations on procurement, and until now we have trained about 80 civil society organizations in 12 provinces. As a result of our advocacy activities, also the civil society engagement in the new law amendment is quite good. We have a quite good avenue in the new law amendment. In future also we would like to take, of course in forward we have some challenges. We also have to build the capacity of civil society organizations in who will do monitoring, who will work as observer in the bidding processes. And also, we will also send, and still we will do advocacy for improving or updating some related regulations and the procedures and guidelines, which aims to increase the civil society engagement in the procurement process. And also, we would like to have a concrete mechanism. The law amendment is one thing, but in future, we should really want to have a clear guideline which aims to increase the engagement of civil society organization. We would like to have a concrete mechanism in future. And yeah, thank you. Questions are welcome.
Okay. Why there's need to amend to review the public procurement law of Mongolia? Yeah, I think the officer is here already, and what kind of CSO action to have the law amended? Thank you.
The first law was approved in 2000. Second big revision was made in 2005, and I think 2011 was like part of cycle. The law must be approved all the time. The biggest change was the decentralization of procurement, because 80% of all public procurement is done at ministries level. So after this law, majority of bidding will go to the local level. So it gives decentralization was the major part of this.
How do you think civil society monitoring is going to differ in Mongolia than the Philippines, or other places that have done civil society monitoring? And particularly, I'm thinking about just in things like your population density. Just have in Mongolia is the least populous country in the world. If you look at the sort of the square footage of Mongolia relative to the population.
And how do you foresee to manage the feedback from the 12 IMAGs so that it reaches that, your office GANs?
The different thing is that because of our population, especially in the local areas, everybody knows each other. There is no secrets like in this morning session. So if there is a competition among 3 companies, there will be evolution members and they will all know about each other. So that gives another perspective on how to monitor and how to make decisions. In one way, it's very transparent because everybody knows each other. And another way, it's also difficult because you cannot make enemies in a small town where when you openly say about one company and then you leave the another one. So that will be the difference between Mongolia and Philippines, Indonesia, and other countries. we are going to allow CSO members to be part of evaluation committee only if they are trained. So they have a voting right. But if they are not trained, they can become observers, non-voting members. And the training is done by 4 training institutions. Used to be Minister of Finance used to do all the trainings, but now it's more specialized people are doing that. And about this monitoring activities in 12 IMAGs, do you want to answer or do you want me to answer? They don't apply to us, the findings. They go to the local governor's office and tell them. And I think that's the best part. I think that's the better policy. Instead of someone coming from the center like me, going to local IMAG and trying to sort it out things, it's better to solve the problems in that area.